headlines of the hour. Koshi Province Governor calls Provincial Assembly members to stake their claims for the post of Chief Minister. Allocates a deadline until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal exerts pressure to increase the size of the budget, urges concerned officials to develop a budget of 2 trillion rupees. At least 15,000 children killed in the Gaza Strip since the conflict broke out last year, around 17,000 children orphaned or separated from their parents. And Real Madrid beat Bayern Munich 4-3 on aggregate to book a spot in the UEFA Champions League finals. Koshi Province Governor Parshuram Khapung has allocated a deadline until 5 p.m. tomorrow to form a new provincial government under Sub-Article 5 of Article 168 of the Constitution of Nepal. Issuing the notice late last night, Province Governor Khapung called on the Provincial Assembly members to stake their claims for the post of Chief Minister. The notice issued by Information Officer Ramkumar Shrestha states that the Office of the Governor received the document attesting the withdrawal of support of 52 Provincial Assembly members to Chief Minister Kedar Karki on 8th of April. It also states that the special session of the Provincial Assembly passed a resolution on 22nd of April instructing the Chief Minister to seek the confidence vote within 30 days, but the Governor received a letter yesterday stating that Chief Minister Karki had not informed the Provincial Assembly Secretariat regarding when he would take the confidence vote. Karki had been appointed the Chief Minister under Sub-Article 5 of Article 168 of the Constitution on 14th of October last year. Chief Minister Karki remained steadfast in his refusal to either seek a floor test or resign. The ruling alliance has geared up to put forth parliamentary party leader of UML, Hikmat Karki. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has admitted of being behind the split of Janata Samajwadi Party Nepal to sustain the current government. The Premier made the remark at a meet and greet program in Sinduli's Sunkoshi. He said all the efforts would be made to sustain the current alliance. Saying his party has been split in an unconstitutional manner, Janata Samajwadi Party chairperson Upendra Yadav has said that he will move the court for justice. While saying that he would knock on the doors of the court, Yadav faces challenges regarding whether or not to remain in the government. Yadav is furious after Ashok Rai registered a separate political party with 7 parliamentarians from among the 12 of Janata Samajwadi Party, Nepal. Yadav has alleged the Election Commission registering the new party without following any law. Yadav has said that the party was split in an unconstitutional manner by compromising identity, issues of Madesh and federalism. In addition to this, while being the Deputy Prime Minister himself, Yadav is hurt as the Prime Minister accepted of having a role in splitting the party. He has added that the system would collapse if such practices continued. Yadav has alleged of splitting the party when he was in a foreign visit by spreading rumors of formation of a new political equation. Yadav held a press conference on the day the Prime Minister accepted of splitting the party but is yet to quit the government. Yadav, who has faced a long political process of development of the party and its split, appeared clearly disappointed and tired during the press conference. His role in the current ruling coalition is certain to be difficult, with his political future now at risk as well. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What do you term the Prime Minister's statement on having to do many activities to ensure the full term of the government? Your options are A. Extremity of power affinity, B. Hint of splitting other parties, and C. Fear of coalition breakup. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Despite the status of implementation of the budget of the ongoing fiscal year remaining poor, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has been applying pressure to increase the size of the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The committee formed to set the size of the budget has suggested the government to introduce a budget of around 1.8 trillion rupees. However, Prime Minister Dahal has been applying pressure on the officials of the Ministry of Finance and National Planning Commission to develop a budget of 2 trillion rupees. At a time when target revenue is not being generated and development works are lacking momentum, experts have warned of problems in implementation and erosion of trust on the budget if a budget of large size is introduced. The Resource Committee led by National Planning Commission Vice Chairperson Min Bahadur Shrestha had suggested the government to introduce a budget of 1.8 trillion rupees. However, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has been applying pressure on the National Planning Commission and the Ministry of Finance to introduce a budget of around 2 trillion rupees in size. At a time when the economy is slow, Prime Minister Dahal is of the opinion that a large budget is required to ensure the flow of funds in the market. On this ground, Dahal has been claiming that the budget of the upcoming fiscal year would be different. The government had introduced the budget of 1,751 billion rupees for the ongoing fiscal year. However, because of failure in implementing the budget, it was reduced by 221 billion rupees to 1,530 billion rupees. The government is now aiming to increase the budget for the upcoming fiscal year by around 15%. Target revenue has not been generated this fiscal year. Revenue this year is likely to be limited to 100 billion rupees. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked in several provinces what issue they prefer being raised at the Parliament session that begins on 10th of May. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
देशैभरि आगलागी बढी भएको छ त्यसको बारेमा राहतको बारेमा आवाज उठाइदिनु पर्यो
समुदायिक विद्यालयको स्थिति पनि जन्जन बिग्रिदै गएको छ अहिले चासो लिदिएको भए राम्रो हुन्थ्यो
बाढी पीडितको सम्भावना धेरै घटना घट्ने आउने कुरा छ अब त्यसको लागि कुराकानी उठाउनु पर्यो
बिजनेसको मेन रोडहरु हेर्नुस् हैन अलि फराकिलो हुन नसकेको धेरै भइसक्यो
जुन युवाहरु भक्कर पढे लेखेका आएका छन् तर रोजगार सम्बन्धित सिप मुलुक तालिम र रोजगारको व्यवस्था मिलाइदिनु पर्छ
व्यवसायीहरु धराप छन् अनि व्यवसाय गर्न पनि सकिरहेको छैन त्यो कुराहरुलाई पनि अलिकति त्यो विषयमा पनि अलिकति बोल्दिदा सजिलो हुन्थ्यो
बेलौरी कलपुर सडकको समस्या समाधानको साथसाथै हुलाकी सडकको पनि समस्या समाधानको विशेष पहल गर्नको लागि हाम्रा नेताजीहरुलाई आह्वान गर्न चाहन्छु
रोजगारीको कुरा उठाइदिनु पर्यो स्वदेशमै ताकि दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरुले रोजगारी पाउन सकुन्
बजेटमा मलखातका बारेमा कुरा उठाउनु पर्यो
किमा थाङका बाटोहरु अब सुचारु गर्नुपर्ने अवस्था अथवा ट्र्याक ओपन भइसकेको छ
जुन महिला संसदहरु पनि हुनुहुन्छ र जुन हामी महिलाहरुको लागि के न के एउटा कार्ययोजना बनाएर चाहिँ कार्यक्रमहरु ल्याइदिनु पनि पर्छ
Time now for international update. At least 15,002 children have died in the Gaza Strip since the Israeli-Palestinian conflict broke out on October 7 last year. Among them, 30 children died due to malnutrition. About 17,000 children have become orphans and lost their parents in the grip of the war, in fact, the Gaza war. Meanwhile, UN's World Health Organization says hospitals in southern Gaza only have 3 days of fuel left to power their operations. After the resumption of Israeli operations in Rafah, the treatment of patients in the hospitals has been stopped for the time being. Dr. Omar Abdel, who works there, said that the hospital staff are being tortured and disappeared in Gaza by Israeli army. According to him, 200 health workers have disappeared in recent time. The WHO has expressed concern regarding the matter. Israel and Hamas are holding talks in Cairo, Egypt, but Israel has not stopped its military operations in Gaza. Hamas has accused Israel of not being serious about bringing the talks to a meaningful conclusion. Meanwhile, Israel has been rejecting it, saying that their demands have not been met. Israeli women rallied in Tel Aviv yesterday, demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza after 6 months of Israel's war against Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces competing pressures at home and abroad when he weighs how far to push the operations to defeat Hamas in Rafah that complicates hopes of bringing Israeli hostages home. Street demonstrations against the government by families and supporters of some of the more than 130 hostages still held in Gaza have become a constant fixture, with protesters demanding a ceasefire deal with Hamas to get them back. Others are demanding the government and the Israeli Defense Forces press ahead with the Rafah operation against the remaining Hamas formations holding out around the city, which began this week with airstrikes and battles on the outskirts. Hamas handed Netanyahu a dilemma this week when it declared it had accepted a ceasefire proposal brokered by Egypt for a halt to fighting in the return for an exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Israeli officials rejected the offer, accusing Hamas of altering the terms of the deal. But it did not break off negotiations, and shuttle diplomacy continues, with CIA Chief Bill Burns in Israel yesterday to meet Netanyahu. Dutch riot police broke up a pro-Palestinian protest at the University of Amsterdam, battling demonstrators who had vowed to stay put until the institution severed all ties with Israel. The protesters said the Israeli institutions that the university works with profit from oppression of Palestinians. Hundreds of protesters on the narrow streets outside atop makeshift barriers of desks, bricks and wooden pallets chanted slogans as police surrounded them and dragged many protesters away from campus. Students in the Dutch capital have joined a wave of sit-ins and other actions at universities throughout Europe against Israel's war in Gaza, following longer-scale disturbances at US universities. Russia has said that sending NATO troops into Ukraine would potentially be extremely dangerous, and Moscow was closely watching a Ukrainian petition that called for such an intervention. The petition posted on the Ukrainian president's website says Ukraine should ask the United States, Britain and other countries to send troops to help it repel Russia's invasion. NATO has backed Ukraine in the war by providing it with increasingly powerful weapons, including tanks and long-range missiles, but has not intervened directly with troops, something that US President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin have both warned could lead to World War III. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said that Russia-Ukraine conflict would be over in 2 weeks if West stopped its support. Meanwhile, Russian missiles and drones struck nearly a dozen Ukrainian energy infrastructure facilities yesterday, causing serious damages at 3 Soviet-era thermal power plants and blackouts in multiple regions. Interior Minister Igor Klemenko said that 2 people were injured in the Kyiv region and 1 was hurt in the Kirovohrad region. Fiji's former long-serving Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama was sentenced to a year in prison for perverting the course of justice today. Bainimarama was initially spared jail in the case during sentencing last month before an appeal by the country's Director for Public Prosecutions. A former military chief, Bainimarama, came to power in 2006 coup and later won democratic elections in 2014 and 2018. He was found guilty this month by the High Court of attempting to pervert the course of justice while he was Prime Minister by telling a senior police official to stay away from an investigation into the University of South Pacific, court documents show. And before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Koshi Province Governor calls Provincial Assembly members to stake their claims for the post of Chief Minister, allocates a deadline until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal exerts pressure to increase the size of the budget, urges concerned officials to develop a budget of 2 trillion rupees. At least 15,000 children killed in the Gaza Strip since the conflict broke out last year. Around 17,000 children orphaned or separated from their parents. And Real Madrid beat Bayern Munich 4-3 on aggregate to book a spot in the UEFA Champions League finals. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.